And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we are going to Massachusetts back in the 1400s. Not to Salem, but very close by because there's lots of witches out there, witch trials going on. And we are sick and tired of that, so we moved to a new village next door and we call it New Salem. However, some witches are still perpetrating in this new town. We're trying to figure out who it is. This is a hidden role game with a drafting mechanic built into it called New Salem. It is for 3 to 8 players. The box says 45 to 60 minutes. It's 30 to 60 minutes. It's usually more closer to 30 to 40. But let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. I don't typically show inserts, but this one is fantastic. It has these that hold the cubes that are in the game. It comes out so you can put these for the board. It has a space for the events, the characters, and then there's a different amount of cards that are put together depending on how many players are in the game, and it slots them all nicely so you can easily set up the game quickly, and it has the round markers there. Excellent insert. It looks like it's from Game Trays. In this game at the beginning, you're going to get a character card, and this will tell you whether you're a good guy or a Puritan, which look like one of these. By the way, the artwork in this game is excellent. You'll get this card. It will be secret from everybody. Nobody will know whether you're a Puritan, one of these guys, or if you're one of the witches. Now, depending on how many players you play with, there'll be a certain amount of witches and Puritans mixed in. Now, there'll be, for example, for a full complement of 8 players, there'll be 6 Puritans and 3 witches. And that's 9 cards, but there's only 8 players, so you'll get these 6 and these 3, you'll shuffle them together, and you'll randomly take one out. So there's either going to be 2 or 3 witches in the game. But in a 4-player game, there's 4 Puritans and 2 witches, and you get rid of 2 of those cards because there's only 4 people playing. So it's possible that there's 0 witches in, say, a 4-player game. Highly unlikely, but it's possible. Maybe there's 1, maybe there's 2. You're not quite sure at the beginning of the game. Now, when you get your secret card, not only will you know whether you're a Puritan or a witch, you'll also know what type of businesses this person's trying to build in New Salem. For example, this is a finance logo, and this is education. Now, witches themselves, they all have 3 logos. This guy likes trade, he likes entertainment, and he likes education. So these are the types of logos you're going to be trying to go through when we draft buildings for the game. So let's talk about how it works. There's 5 rounds in the games. In round 1, it shows you which way we're going to draft cards, which is clockwise. Shows us how many to deal and how many we're each going to have played by the end of the round. So in this case, we would deal 3 of these building cards to everybody, and we would begin drafting clockwise per these arrows. So let's say I was this Puritan. Of course, nobody else would know this but me. This would be secret. And the 3 cards I got are of these. Now, this is a laboratory, and it's good for education. We have court, and then we have a gaming den. Now, some of these have some specific things on them. I would draft and keep one of these and pass the other 2 to somebody else. Now, I do like gaming den, and so I'm going to keep this on my character card, and I'm going to pass these 2 here. I'm going to get 2 more from the person to my right. Now, when you get down to 2 cards, you can either take one and discard one, and when you discard it, you put it face down at the bottom of the draw pile. Or I can discard both of these and draw one blindly off the top. And let's say I want to do that. I want to take this, I want to put these down under the draw pile, and I'll blindly draw one. Okay, so now once everybody has their cards, they will flip them up, and we will do what some of the cards say. Now, as you notice, some of these cards, it tells you how many players would need to be in the game for those cards to be in there, 6 players and 5 players. Anytime you see a logo like this, that's called despair. Every person would put a black despair cube on there. Despair is really bad to have out if you truly are a Puritan, but they're really good to have out if you're a witch, because that determines your winning conditions. And so here, he's going to get both a despair, and this is actually hope. This is currency in the game, and everybody would sort of do that with all their cards. Well, what are you trying to do with these cards? What should you go for? Well, you're trying to obviously go for the types of buildings that your character wants, in this case like this, but you're also trying to build sets. See, he doesn't care about gloom. That's the type of building this is. But if you can build a whole set of gloom cards, so you put here and here, notice these 2 kind of have edges, and this one's in the middle. This actually creates one beautiful picture. Really cool idea where it makes one big picture, and at the end of the game, for each full set of 3 cards of a specific type building type I get, I'm going to get 2 points for the set, regardless if this is something I liked or not. If I did have this symbol at the end of the game, I'm going to get 2 points for the set, and I'm going to get 1 point for each card. So that's 5 points for a matched set. So that's why people, like the Puritan, might put down a card, even though when I put it down, it was going to get some despair. Right, when I put it down. So what do these despair and hope cubes do? Well, as we can see, when it becomes the end of the game, depending on how many players are there, it will tell us how much despair needs to be on there to allow the witches to win. For example, if there's 8 players playing and there's at least 16 of these despair cubes out at the end of the game, only one witch has an ability. Only the witch team has the ability to have somebody win. The Puritans are completely out. If there's less than 16, then the Puritans are going to possibly win the game, one of them, and the witches are out. So it's this tug of war of despair, which is going to say what the win condition is and which team is eligible to have one person win at the end of the game. So after the drafting phase is over, we go to an event phase, where you remember these currency that I talked about with these hope cubes? Well, these hope cubes can help activate events. Look at these two, confession and cleansing. These can be done infinite number of times, and this is completely organic. A lot of negotiation goes on here. People will have cubes, and you can't just say, hey, I'll throw one, and you throw one, and because we have 2, we can do a confession, which means we can view another player's card. You can actually look at their character card, give it back to them. You can't show anybody, but then you say, oh, he's a witch. Well, that person's going to say, no, actually, you're lying. I'm not, and it's going to cause a lot of problems there. You can't do that. Only one person can place things here. So you have to talk somebody else into giving you maybe some hope so that you can combine it with yours so you can do it. But maybe you're a witch and someone gave you cubes and you just don't do anything with it. Or maybe you do something else that's bad. So that's a very interesting way that this organically happens. Cleansing. Anytime one person throws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hope cubes on here, they can cleanse. And this logo here, so it'd be one person would do 5. It doesn't matter whether they throw 5 of their own or they get some by somebody else and then decide to put it here. They would take any 2 despair off of any cards in the game. Now, some of the actual buildings that come out when you're drafting have this on it too. And if someone gets this during the drafting phase, they would also cleanse 1 despair from anywhere in the game, including a building on themselves or somewhere else. This is reducing the cleansing. So this is something a Puritan typically would do, is to do that. The other 2 types of events can only happen 1 time per card. Now this is an 8-player game. It's all the players that can possibly play the game, so there's 3 of these cards. Where, for example, if there was only 3 players, there'd only be 1 of these cards. Same for the pardons. So in a trial, if you're able to raise 4 hope and put it on trial, you give that player to any person that you want. They put it on top of their character card. For the rest of the game, no matter what building they put out, they will not alter the cubes. They will not add cubes. They will not add despair. They will not add hope. They cannot add anything for the rest of the game. And I'll tell you what happens to this character at the end of the game in just a moment. The pardon is similar to that, but a little different. You need 5 hope cubes, and you take this card and you can not be targeted by trials for the rest of the game. So a witch might want to put hope on here, put it on their own character card so that they aren't put to trial. Because if you're a witch, you don't want to go on trial. And those are the main events that happen. After the events are done organically, that's literally the end of the round. This would basically flip over, and we would start round 2. So round 2, we're going to deal 4, and you'll end up playing 3 cards. And this time we draft counterclockwise to the right. After that, we do the events, and then we go to round 3. We deal 5 and play 4 clockwise. We do the events. We go to round 4. It goes back down to 4 and playing 3 counterclockwise. And then in round 5, we deal 3 and play 2. So the amount of cards you get starts low, goes up high in the middle rounds, and goes back down low in the end round. So you get most of your information by about halfway through the game, and that's where the negotiations really pick up. And so at the end of the 5th round, we then do the following. First, every player reveals whether they're a Puritan or a witch. This person was a witch. Then we look at trials. For every witch that was correctly put on trial, we will cleanse the whole community by 2 despair cubes. If a witch reveals itself and they were not put on trial, they will be adding 2 despair to the city. If a Puritan was wrongly put on trial, they would also add 2 despair to the community. So Puritans don't want to be on trials, and you want to put witches on trials, and you can't leave any undone. After that adding and subtracting of despair, we then count the amount of despair. And again, with it say for 8 players, if there's 16 or more, only one of the witches can win. If there's less than 16, only one of the Puritans can win. Whatever side is eligible for victory, depending on the amount of despair and players in the game. So for example, let's say the Puritan side is eligible for victory. Every Puritan in the game would add up their points like this. Again, a full set is worth 2 points, but this one is not one of the buildings types that this Puritan is specializing in. This gives me nothing because again, it's nothing and it's not a set. This one gives me nothing as well because it's not a full set and it's not here. These two, it's not a full set, but I get 1 point for each of these buildings because it has this logo here that I like. So this would have been 2 points, 3, 4. I would have 4 points to this guy. It's probably not going to win the game. So everyone would add up their points. All the Puritans in this case would add them up. The one who has the most points is the winner. And the tiebreaker is how many hope cubes. That's how you play New Salem. All right, there's New Salem. Now, you know I love historical themes. I'm actually from Boston, and I visited Salem quite often as a kid and as an adult, going through the witch dungeons, the true witch houses and things. So the theme itself is really cool for me. I love hidden role and social deduction games. I love The Resistance, I love Avalon, I love One Night After Werewolf. I love those types of games. And I also like drafting games like Sushi Go and Seven Wonders. This takes all those and sort of just puts them together. That's why I was interested in this game. So did it deliver? Yes, I think this game delivers hugely. I was very excited with the results of this game. Player count is a big thing with this as well. So we played it a lot with 8 players, the full count. I think this game, the more players, the better, because everything's happening simultaneously, which I love about this game. The drafting's happening simultaneously, people playing their cards simultaneously, and we're talking about the events simultaneously. So no matter how many players you have, this game moves fast and it's quick. So, and the more players, in my opinion, the better the experience of this game. Now, on the other hand, it's scaled in such an interesting way that even with 3 players, you can play this game. Now, they take out some of the events. There's no confession, so you can't see somebody's card. There's no pardoning. You can't stop someone from getting put on trial. But there's a possibility that there's no witches, a decent possibility, with 3 players. So it seemed very interesting to me, but for me, that level of players fell flat for us, especially because on our last game, we had no witches, because that's possible with the 3 or 4 player count. And we thought it would be interesting, but it tended to just become more about the drafting, a lesson about the experience of talking and pointing fingers during the event selection stage. So for me, 3 really feels flat. 4, you add the pardons, you add the looking at people stuff, and so that adds more interesting things, but I still think, you know, the more players, the better with this game. 5, 6, 7, 8 is probably where it's at, in my opinion. More players, the better, because the drafting component's very simple, right? And you're going to be doing things that may not be in the best interest of your team. Meaning, if you're the Puritan, you're going to be playing cards to try to get your sets down, but they're going to bring in despair cubes. And it looks bad, but everybody's kind of doing it once in a while. It's the looking at people. Oh, I just looked at his card. He's good. Well, now we don't know if we can trust him. Someone's got to look at his card, and then someone's got to look at his card. Like this thing starts to bubble over. Who can we trust? And I like that. It's cool. The best part about this game is the experience, the above-the-table experience, and the conversations and the non-trustworthiness of your fellow mates during the event stage. The drafting's cool, but it's not like Seven Wonders deep. It's not like, oh, I can do this, and later on I can do this. It's more like, and it's not, maybe it's not quite as light as Sushi Go, but it's like, hey, you get the cards. From the cards you have in your hand, it's usually pretty obvious which one you're going to pick. Looking around, see what's going on. So it's not like a brain burn from the drafting standpoint. You're just kind of getting your points down and trying to see whether you want to go good or bad, depending on what's out there. But it's really the experience of talking it through for the events and doing things. And you can do all sorts of crazy things. You could be a witch, and you're gaining some white cubes, some hope cubes, and other people are spending cubes, and then you have enough to then pardon yourself. And that's good, because now you can get put on trial. So there's a lot of head games that can get done. Hey, he's getting too many white cubes over there. He's getting too much hope. That's very witchy to do. You know, lots of things that are witchy, sort of like a little bit like Dead of Winter, where you want your team to quote unquote win, but you have your own hidden goal. But in this case, everyone's hidden goal is the same. It's get points, and people know how to get points. But then even that's hidden because you don't know who's really going for what, because their characters are hidden. So overall, I was very impressed with this. It was a lot of fun. And again, the fun for me in this game is the pointing and shouting during the event selection phase. Some people can do things, wait for people to do things, and then do something else. You can say, hey, yeah, give me the white cubes, I'll cleanse. They give it to you, boom, you pardon yourself, you were a witch, and you just threw everybody off. Some cool things you can do here. I really like this game. If you like hidden roll, if you like the social deduction aspects, if you like drafting, it's definitely going to be one you want to check out. But play it with the higher player counts, in my opinion. That's New Salem.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.